Hey everybody, Jamie from the Rain Doctor's YouTube channel, and today I'm going to disclose something to you guys. I don't own a boat. I don't really like going on the water, and the reasons may surprise you. So before we get underway, I want to hear from you guys in the comments below of your experience in the water, on your boat, good or bad. And let's share your stories. But now let's get into mine, and we'll start in more of a chronological order of when I was a kid. We would go out to my uncle's cabin. It was out at Shell Lake here in Saskatchewan. Beautiful place. It was an old rustic cabin. He had an old Roadrunner boat, it was called, with a 33 on the back, and that's what we would spend our summers in, being towed along on well, inner tubes. That's what they were. They were just big black tractor tire inner tubes, or wherever they were from. And that would be our summer. But my memories aren't great with regards to the summers being fantastic out there. Yeah, outside of, hey, they should be because you're at your uncle's cabin. But we would go fishing, and I think the first one I kind of remember, and I get reminded this from was reminded of this from my parents years ago, and I vividly remember it, is my parents said, "Wait, stop, don't," as I grabbed the fish and got a big hook stuck in my thumb. So 3 years old, big hook in my thumb, the vacation's over, I'm at the hospital getting stitches and getting a hook removed from my thumb. Now, keep in mind, I'm a product of the 70s. So we were kind of a FAFO generation. So F around and find out is how we worked. We weren't really into safety. We didn't really have, well, we knew about safety. We just didn't realize at those times that some of the stuff we were doing wasn't right or wasn't safe, or our parents just wouldn't relay that information to us as they do nowadays, where everyone is pretty much bubble wrapped and can't do anything, right? So, you know, the old bicycle with no helmet, you know, we would take jumps on our bikes, things like that. Moving boat we would jump off of, you know, things like that. But moving ahead, I think I'm 12 years old this next one, and we're out in this great big red and white tri-hull. I think it was a stern drive. And I think it was too big to launch or to load up, at the regular launching area. And a big storm had come up. And my dad says, "Kate, do you remember where that other launch area is?" And I'm like, "Well, not really." And he says, "Well, you look way over there. If you go around the corner and look way over there, it's way over there." So there was probably good 4 or 5 foot waves at the time. I'm 12 years old, and he's sending me alone across this lake. And again, it was Shell Lake, but it could get obviously pretty rough with 4 or 5 foot waves or whatever it was. I don't know what they were. They were huge. I was young. I don't remember. It was terrifying. I white knuckled and just plugged along, and I didn't know how to drive a boat. He just drive it over there, he says, "I'll meet you over there with the trailer." So I eventually get the boat over there, and we get it all loaded up, and that's the memory. Terror, right? It was just terrifying. So later on, my dad, on some of the long weekends, he'd say, "Son, let's go to the lake and we'll go fishing, or we'll go boating, or I've got to try out this boat out at the lake and see if it works right," or, you know, whatever the reason was. And every once in a while I'd fall into the trap. Now you're probably wondering, well, why is it a trap? Because we had to load and unload a boat, and I had no knowledge on how to do said things. And it would always start off with, "Okay, do this, do this, do this, do this," and then the yelling would start, and it would completely ruin my whole trip, irregardless of how much fun I might have had on the boat. When we went to load the boat, I was chastised and treated like a complete moron, and felt really bad by the time it was time to drive home, and I would sit there pouting because I got yelled at because I didn't know how to load a boat. And then if we fast forward even more years, well, I got a couple left here. We fast forward some more years, and my dad says, "Okay, I've got this pontoon boat, and it's an 18-foot bass buggy, and well, this is really cool, and off we go again to Shell Lake. So by this time I had kids, you know, the wife and whatnot, and we load up and out we go. And you know, it was a good time. We were fishing, we were having fun on the pontoon boat, and we're thinking, you know what, I would like to do this every weekend. This would be fantastic. You just sit there, it's like being on a dock, but you can move the dock, and it's just a lot of fun, right? Then out of the blue, we're driving past some cabins, and some people wave us down. And I said, oh, okay, well, what do these people want? They bought the pontoon boat. He sold the only thing that really connected our family together so that we could go and have fun. He sold it that day. So no more pontoon boat. So that kind of ended our boating for, oh gee, it would have been another 8 years before I'd see the water again. And of course I took my son out with me because my dad says, hey, yep, I just got this hull welded up on this 17-foot Fisher boat. Let's go try it out. Got to see if it holds together. You know, right away I'm thinking, well, by this time Fafo is not really working with me anymore because I'm older and I'm a little bit smarter, but you know, okay, son, let's go. So grab my boy and off we go to Shell Lake. So, or maybe this was Blackstrap. This might have been Blackstrap. I don't remember. Anyway, we end up at this lake, and it's windy and it's wavy, and my dad for some reason figured that the ultimate test for this thing would be full speed diagonal on the waves. So my son and I were sitting in the back, and we're flopping all over, completely and utterly terrified that we were gonna die. At any time we could be thrown out of the boat. So we're grabbing the holy crap handles and hanging on for dear life, and thinking to ourselves, we're never going again. We're never touching a boat with you again, man. You're crazy. My son's crying. He's really upset. I'm white knuckling everything and holding on to the boy, and oh man, this has got to end soon. So it ends, and then finally it's, okay, Dad, what the Sam H are you doing, dude? You trying to kill us? There's no reason to be driving like this. Anyway, we make it back to shore. I get yelled at as usual because I'm not loading the boat properly or don't know what I'm doing, and we make our way home. So I guess when my wife, she says, let's take a boat out to the lake, and I do have a boat here, and I'm going to show you guys shortly. It's the shop's boat. It's not actually mine. Or when customers come in and they say, well, you must have a really awesome boat, and you know, go out on the water tons. And I kind of look at them and I go, and this is my go-to, I say, well, you know what? No, I don't, because I want to get to the lake, and if the boat doesn't work, I'm going to be really upset, because then I'm going to have to spend my weekend trying to fix a boat. So you kind of know how that is, right? And that's my excuse. That's my go-to for that. But that's not really the reason. It's the times that I was actually out on the water where I damn near got killed, or just didn't have a good ending to that time that I was out there. So this is our boat coming up here. This is a Fisher 15-foot boat. It's the shop's boat, or actually it was my dad's boat. He would take it out every once in a while, and please excuse the tarp. It's had a few tarps, and it just kind of sits back here because it's neglected and never gets used. 50 horsepower Mercury, like I said, 15 feet long. It's in really good shape. It's just dirty. We've cleaned it up a couple times because people have wanted to buy it, and it just never came to fruition. But yeah, I know it doesn't look as bad as what you guys are seeing. It's in pretty good shape. Like I said, it's just dirty. So that's a 50 horsepower two-stroke. I think the boat's a 2008, so we've had it for a really long time, and it hasn't seen much water. And I think that the only real damage is we've lost some paint in the back underneath in there. Yeah, the paint's gone inside there, but the carpet, or I guess the vinyl, cleans up really well, and looks like we've got a little bit of a garden starting in the corner. But yeah, I guess that's it. That's why I don't get to see a lot of water, and why I'm more of a camper type person rather than a boat guy. Anyway, I'm sure you guys all have your stories, and I'd love to hear read your comments below, and I try to answer as many as I can when I get time. So if you guys want, comment below and let me hear your stories. Anyway, I'll see you guys in the next video.